Hello, dear viewers, and welcome back to our channel. Today's story begins not with a parade or balcony appearance, but with something quieter, and, to many, far more revealing. After 3 years tucked away at Adelaide Cottage, the Prince and Princess of Wales are preparing to shift the center of their family life to a very different address. Forest Lodge, a Grade 2 listed mansion in the heart of Windsor Great Park. On paper, it's a simple house move. In reality, it's a decision layered with symbolism, strategy, logistics, and yes, controversy. Stay with me, because as we peel this back, you'll see why this forever home could shape not only the childhoods of George, Charlotte, and Louis, but the next chapter of the monarchy itself. Before we dive in, a warm reminder to like this video, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss our deep dives into the untold currents behind royal headlines. Now let's begin. For 3 years, Adelaide Cottage did exactly what William and Catherine hoped it would do. It offered simplicity, routine, and a manageable footprint for a family who wanted their children to grow up with as much normality as possible. 4 bedrooms, a pretty garden, just a 10-minute walk to Windsor Castle, yet quietly cocooned from the heaviest footfall. In 2022, this felt like the right answer. It allowed school drop-offs at Lambrook, weekend sports, piano practice, and family dinners without the operatic scale of a palace. But families change, children grow, roles expand, and that's where Forest Lodge enters the story. Nestled within 4,800 acres of Windsor Great Park, the 8-bedroom mansion is no anonymous box. Its Venetian windows, half-barrel vaulted hallway, and chandelier-lit rooms speak to a different kind of domestic life. One with space not just for living, but for hosting, coordinating, and increasingly, leading. Reports suggest the home will remain theirs even after William becomes king. In royal terms, forever is a big word. Here's where the plot thickens. According to multiple reports, 2 families living in cottages converted from Forest Lodge's stables were asked to vacate earlier this summer. These were Crown Estate properties, and Crown Estate tenants are frequently moved around the Great Park as needs shift. Officials say there were no eviction notices and that residents have been offered similar or better housing elsewhere in the park. Still, they were surprised. And that detail matters. It reminds us that royal decisions reverberate through very ordinary lives. So why now? Why this house? Why this scale? Part of the answer is practical. The Wales children are at ages where the house is no longer just a nest. It's an engine. George, at 12, needs quiet study space, room to host schoolmates, and the privacy that comes with quietly absorbing what his role will demand. Charlotte, 10, is now fully herself, confident, athletic, increasingly drawn to sport, and Forest Lodge's grounds, including a tennis court, make a statement of support for her passions. Louis, 7, is still the family's ray of sunshine. For him, fields, trees, and long lawns are not decoration but freedom. Forest Lodge offers that and more. Another part is strategic. William and Catherine are 43. The years ahead will be among the most consequential of their public lives. Both King Charles and the Princess of Wales revealed cancer diagnoses in 2024, a sobering reminder of how quickly plans can change. While His Majesty remains visible and engaged, his schedule, sensibly, has become more selective. Increasingly, the Wales family will carry the day-to-day weight of public expectation. A home that can function as a family base, a working hub, and a discreet staging point for engagements across Berkshire and London is not a luxury. It is, from their perspective, the sensible build for the role they know is coming. And then there is the symbolism. Windsor Great Park is not just pretty countryside. It is monarchy-made landscape. The great walks, the stately trees, the water, the long vistas, these are the settings against which Britain has imagined its crown for centuries. To plant your family in the park is to tie your story to that enduring image. It says, "We are rooted, we are present, and we will be here for the long term." Of course, the optics are complicated. Forest Lodge is believed to be worth around $16 million. Kensington Palace has emphasized that the Wales family will pay for the move and renovations themselves, and that no extra cost will fall to the taxpayer. The planning applications lodged in June were described as minor external and internal alterations. No live-in staff are expected. All of this speaks to an effort to balance grandeur with modern modesty, an attempt to say, yes, this is a sizable home, but it is a family house, not a palace staffed like 1952. Yet public perception has its own rules. The idea that 2 nearby cottages were cleared to make way for the move is the sort of detail that sticks in the mind, even when tenants remain within Crown estate housing. It invites the uncomfortable question, when the Crown needs space, who yields? To that, there is no easy answer, only the historical reality that the Windsor ecosystem has always flexed around the needs of the reigning family. Step back, and you see a longer story. William and Catherine have quietly built a network of homes that each serve a different function. Anmere Hall in Norfolk is the family's breathing space, a place of muddy boots, dogs, and the kind of freedom that the open skies of East Anglia seem to demand. Apartment 1A at Kensington Palace is the formal London base, close to ministries, charities, and the rhythms of the capital. Balmoral's Little Tom Na Gar is the Highland Hideaway, a house of pine and mountain air, often used as a private springboard for Scottish engagements. Forest Lodge doesn't replace these places. It anchors them. It says, this is where the threads meet. There is also, quietly, a psychological dimension. Adelaide Cottage was chosen to dial down. It was the house you pick when you want to show your children, and the country that life can be simple. But the last 3 years were not simple. The family weathered illness, scrutiny, and a global press which at times felt unrelenting. Forest Lodge is a reset. A fresh start, in the words of royal insiders. New rooms, new routines, new memories. Sometimes the practical decision is also the human one. What, then, of the monarchy? Forest Lodge will not change public sentiment on its own, but it will shape the Wales family's rhythm. Expect more Windsor-centered engagements, more charity leaders received quietly, more preparation behind the scenes. Expect the house to become, in time, a place where young leaders, from scientists to social entrepreneurs, are invited to speak freely. Expect evenings where the noise is children's laughter and mornings when the driveway fills with modest cars carrying staff, tutors, gardeners, tennis coaches, musicians, and the quiet army that keeps a modern royal household ticking without fanfare. And expect criticism. Some will say the house is too grand. Others will insist it is necessary. Some will seize on the cottages and the element of surprise. Others will note that Crown estate tenants are often moved and that nobody was put out on the street. All of these reactions can be true at once. What matters, in the long arc, is whether the house enables William and Catherine to do the work better, to be more present, more effective, more human, and more prepared. There's a historical echo here worth acknowledging. Royal homes in Windsor carry long shadows. Not far away sits Royal Lodge, wrapped in its own awkward narrative, still occupied by the Duke of York. Adelaide Cottage lies in one direction, Kensington in another. And further still, Fort Belvedere, the house that witnessed an abdication, stands as a reminder that private dwellings can become stages for public history. Forest Lodge is unlikely to be dramatic in that way, but it will be consequential. The next decade of the monarchy will be shaped by practical choices that seldom make front pages, where children sleep, where parents read briefings, where a family eats together after a long day. This is the stuff of continuity. Let's talk interiors for a moment, because this matters to an older audience who remembers how homes carry values. Forest Lodge underwent a significant restoration in 2001 to retain period detail, original stonework, elaborate cornices, marble fireplaces. This is not a hotel gloss, but a preservation of English craft. Venetian windows soften afternoon light. A vaulted hallway draws the eye toward symmetry and calm. A ballroom can host not only receptions but concerts, readings, perhaps a small carol service at Christmas for staff and local partners. In a world that often feels rushed, such spaces remind us that tradition can soothe. Education, too, fits seamlessly around Windsor life. Lambrook remains close. Eton, should that be the path for George, is a short drive away, useful for a boy who will need both privacy and normal teenage chaos. Windsor offers enough anonymity for a quick ice cream after school and enough security for a future king's schedule to be kept sane. That balance is rare. Forest Lodge gives them a chance to hold it. Money is always the question. Viewers want to know who pays. Reports indicate that William will fund the purchase and renovations personally, that no new public money will be directed to this move, and that the Crown Estate continues to manage its portfolio in the usual way. The family will not maintain live-in staff, aligning with their preference for a lean household. If those commitments hold, much of the public's concern may settle. If they wobble, expect the debate to flare again. Behind all of this is something tender. Catherine's health recovery has required patience, rest, and careful pacing back into public life. A home with larger rooms, more light, and quieter corners offers a kind of gentle infrastructure for healing. Long walks beneath old oaks, fresh air coming through high sash windows, a space where a mother can watch her children play without thinking about cameras. These are not headlines. They are the quiet mercies that keep a family steady. So where does this leave us? With a move that is, at once, domestic and historic, two families have shifted so that one family can settle. A cottage's chapter closes, a mansion's chapter begins. The Crown Estate has restacked its pieces. The Wales family has chosen its base. In a year of heavy news, this may seem like mere wallpaper. It isn't. Homes set rhythms. Rhythms shape work. Work shapes legacy. We will watch how Forest Lodge is used. We will listen for whether the forever home becomes a home for others too, opened for small gatherings with charities, for young people who need encouragement, for quiet conversations that change programs and policies months later. We will notice whether the house helps the family be more present rather than more remote, and we will return to this story when the first glimpses emerge: a tennis rally on a spring afternoon, a charity tea in the ballroom, a photograph at dusk with the long grass turning gold. For now, this is what we know. The Wales family is moving, the neighbors have adjusted, the park is ready, and somewhere behind those Venetian panes, boxes are being labeled: books, jerseys, school projects, framed photographs. It's the same domestic ritual we all know, except that this one, quietly and inexorably, will shape the crown. What do you think of the decision to make Forest Lodge the family's forever home? Do you see it as necessary preparation or unnecessary grandeur? And how do you feel about Crown Estate tenants being moved to make room for the future king's household? Share your thoughts in the comments. If you found this analysis useful, please like the video, subscribe, and turn on notifications. We'll keep following this story, and we'll be here with the moments that matter, big and small, as the House of Windsor turns the page.